Okay, students, welcome to our module on collars. This is chapter 10 of your textbook. They will be starting first with convertible collars. Convertible collars are usually one-piece collars, meaning that they don't have an extra stand to their neck, and it converts to two different necklines based on if it's buttoned all the way to the top of the neck or further down. So we'll be dealing first with the point collar for the first two demonstrations. This is demo 1001, the convertible collar. And for this exercise, you're going to need both your front and back bodice sloper because we're going to be looking at the measurements of your neckline in order to help us draft your collar. So the first thing that we want to do is establish a grain line. This is going to be our point from which that we're going to be measuring along. And then you also want to determine what the height is of your collar going to be. Now, when you're thinking about the height, it's going to be the height from your center back neck. The average height is 3 inches, so that's what we're going to draft up. I'm going to put a mark here that's perpendicular to this grain line that we've established, 3 inches, and that is going to be my height. So this is going to be my center back is what we've established here. Now, the next thing that we need is to remember what is our center back neck length. In order to get that, I'm going to be measuring, using my graph ruler, the measurement of this. And you're going to need to take it as a curved measurement. So the beauty of these plexi ones is they have a gentle curve. And your neck should measure about 3 1/8 of an inch. So I put a mark here for 3 1/8. And that mark then indicates this, what we measured is this is my center back shoulder. Because we've measured from the center back neck to the shoulder line. Then the next thing we need to measure is our actual shoulder, the front neck measurement. So from this shoulder line now, what we're basically doing is this. We're matching up, we're walking, if you will, if you were to walk the pattern sloper, this neck measurement, and now we're going to measure, if we were to flatten this out, the front neck measurement. So again, I'm going to take my clear graph ruler. You could take a measuring tape if that's easier for you, but the beauty of this is that it bends. And so I'm going to measure this. My sloper measures 4 5/8. But you want to make sure you're measuring yours accurately. And then this becomes my center front neck measurement. So this, again, this is my back neck. And this measurement between here and here was my front neck measurement. But your collar, in a design such as this, doesn't end at the neck. It extends out past that neck point. So you want to decide as how deep is your collar point based on the design style line. So we're going to make ours about 1 inch longer than our neck point, or maybe we want a nice long pointy one. So I'm going to go at 1.5 inches. So this is my design point. It will vary based on whatever your design style is. In the 70s, they had very long design points. In the 90s, we became very conservative, so they had been shorter again. And now we will continue drafting our collar. So remember, it's 3 inches in height. So if I were to extend this out 3 inches, this will be the edge of my collar point. This is where my neckline ends. So now I'm going to create a gentle curve about a 1/2 inch up. So this is where we're going to be drafting a blended curve that's going to blend back to this point. So, and you want to think about the gentle curve here as it's blending to this. If we were to create an invisible box, as a guide for ourselves, that'll help us know how we want this gentle curve to go. So blending, we're going to be blending from, we have our center, or we have our shoulder here. We want to go about halfway between the neck and the shoulder, and we're going to start blending this up to that point part. So I'm going to use my curve tool to blend. And then I'll just create my point, a 1/2 inch extension off of their neck. Can be any designer line, can be more. So this creates my initial pattern piece. This is my collar edge. This is going to be my neckline. This is my center back neck. You would be cutting that on the fold. And then you would have your collar edge piece. But this is just the main piece. You recall we've been cutting facings and we've been calling. So the collar has 2 parts when you go to cut it. There's an outside collar and an inside collar. So we want to create a shaped facing that to ensure that the collar rolls over that facing. The facing is what supports the inside of the collar. You've done this in your sewing class when you made your plaid shirt. So we're going to do, in order to draft the facing, we want to take off 1/8 of an inch from this outside edge. So in the transferring of this pattern piece, we're going to actually be generating 2 different pattern pieces. The facing is going to be 1/8 of an inch smaller at the collar edge. And 1/8 of an inch smaller at the collar point, and that blends back to that neckline piece. And then everything else is the same. With the collar, we're only going to have 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around. Center back is cut on the fold. We want 1/4 of an inch so that we have less bulk. 1/4 of an inch at the neck, 1/4 of an inch on the collar edge. So this will become 2 separate pattern pieces. The collar, the top collar, the outside collar, and then the under collar, which is the collar facing 1/8 of an inch smaller. And that is your convertible collar.